I'll tell you the story right now. I had a mentee, right? Young guy, 19, 20. He was a mechanic. He was also making some good coin. And he got like about 8 grand. So one day he gone to Scotia to go ahead and try and get some money off. And Scotia was like not giving him his funds. And eventually he messaged me, right? He was like, yo, they called the police on me, bro. And I was like, what you talking about? So he was like, wait, I be making so much withdrawals on my account. They thinking I doing some form of money laundering, bro. Like, that's just, because how much money I get. Open up my broker account, show them the withdrawals, show them the documentation, show them how I doing this, show them how I doing that, and everything like that. And I told him, like, bro, you at your first rich person problem. You making so much money that they had to call the police on you to figure out exactly where your money coming from. And I was like, wait, that's the type of problem that I want to see for everybody.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast, where we talk about cryptocurrency and the world around it. I'm your host, NelsonRecardo.x, and I'm here with my co-host,
Lambo.242.
And on this week's episode, we're introducing someone that we couldn't wait to get on this podcast. I think it's been long overdue, someone who deserves to actually be heard. We would like to invite one of our friends, Mr. Denzel Jace Johnson.
Good day, everybody. My name is Denzel Jace Johnson, also known as Jayce Bankz, and it's also a pleasure to be here with you guys, Nelson and Lambo. So let's get into it.
I mean, appreciate you,
man.
Appreciate you coming, man.
Appreciate you, bro. Jace was one of the first people to support CryptoNoobz, especially inside of our earlier days. He's been a friend of ours, went to university together. Someone who has very much supported us from the very beginning, been inside the background, like motivating us. So we've actually waited to have this particular episode. We wanted to make sure that everything was pristine before we let Jace on here, because when I say Jace is one of the originals, I'm not lying. Jace is one of the original supporters of CryptoNoobz. But even more than that, Jace is like a representation of how someone from the Caribbean could have actually started from humble beginnings and then worked his way up to being at the top of the top level. So definitely we couldn't wait to have you on this podcast, and we're just so happy to have you here, bro.
Thank you, man. And I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, I really support everything that you guys have been doing, also making the Caribbean and also the Bahamian people aware of everything in regards to crypto investing, long-term investments. So, hey, if I could come on here and also provide value and insight, it's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, man. So definitely we got to start off with, who are you, man? We know you by Denzel Jace Johnson, Jayce Bankz, Crypto Jace, all these different things, right? But we want you to introduce yourself to the audience. Who are you and what are you about, man?
Jayce Bankz, born in the U.S., actually was raised in the Bahamas all my life. So basically, I had a silver ticket, but I never really understood what I was doing from birth because my parents were always Bahamian natives. So I grew up here in the system of Bahamas, primary school, high school, even university. Was raised by a single mother. Had a little bit of hardships growing up. Lost my mom at 60 and had to navigate through that. Lost my dad at 23, had to navigate through that. However, I would say this, I definitely didn't allow those setbacks and also those life-changing things deter me from me finding my version of success. So I got into investing, trading in cryptocurrency probably within my second or third year of university, and I haven't looked back ever since.
Dope, that's dope.
My condolences.
Yeah, but hey, it's a part of my story, but it doesn't define me.
Yeah. Growing up like in the Bahamas, right? Because even though he was born in the US, growing up in the Bahamas, what is something you probably would have like noticed? Like, I don't know how much time you would have spent in the US versus the Bahamas, but is there like growing up, did you notice a difference in culture or anything that would have gave you like a different thought process on certain things compared to like the average Bahamian or the average American?
So I'll say this to you guys, right? First things first, all I knew was the Bahamas. I didn't actually start understanding the U.S. or learning about the U.S. until I was 19. And that's when I actually applied for my U.S. passport and all those different type of things. Because at the time growing up, all I had was a Bahamian passport. I didn't have my birth certificate, anything of the sort like that. So without having my mom and everything like that, and also my dad, he was not like the person that actually like, born me and stuff over there. I had to go ahead and do all those things for myself. So I had to actually start learning a lot of things about learn a lot of things about there in order for me to get, hey, I'm a US citizen and stuff like that. Now, I would say this, the culture of being in the Bahamas, I feel as if we are highly, highly influenced by the United States. Me growing up personally, with having a sick mom and everything like that, I wanted to be either a rapper or basketball player because that's all I saw on TV and that's all I know that, hey, there's who makes the money. Right now, my mommy medical bills is piling up. Our light was getting turned off every 2 weeks. Cable bill was up, getting turned off. We shopping for food. So I was like, but as a black man and also as a Bahamian, I either need to get a scholarship to go to either high school in the States or go to either a college in the States in order for me to actually have a better life to give to my family. Because that's all I was technically programmed or taught. Because when you growing up and everything like that, and you good at a sport or you good at something, they always tell you, but you need to try go to the States because that's where you can really start getting things, whatever. And I mean, a tale all this time, like anything that you good at here, go to the States, go to the States, go to the States. And ultimately that's how I ended up getting good in music and getting good in basketball. But the culture here in the Bahamas, how I looked at it growing up was if you was ever good at something, like you got to take your talents to South Beach or take your talents to the States. Like, hey, that's where the money is. Like, you have to go there. Like, you gotta make it there. Like, if you make it there, you make it. Like, that's just pretty much what the whole push or narrative was growing up as a kid. However, now I think in today's climate, we don't really have more of that push where it's like, hey, you guys got to go to the States, or hey, you guys got to get there, or whatever, etc. I think now everybody is realizing that home actually has a lot of benefits. Home actually has a lot of things that you could tap into. I guess feel as if I wouldn't say we're not exposed to it. I feel as it's a mixture between ignorance and also a mixture between exposure also. Like, yeah, you'll be exposed to this, so someone tell you about it, you quick to call it a scam or quick to call it like, oh, this don't sound right or this and that, etc. But then at the end of the day, I feel as if once you help that one person who actually made it and doing whatever they're doing, then everybody finally come because like, okay, I see this person actually do it. Like, this real. Like, okay, this makes sense. So the culture definitely for me, after I left at around 23. I did a YOLO, honestly. I had my rental property here, but I wasn't really making a lot of money. COVID gets finished up and I got a job offer to work in Atlanta. And they did all my housing and boarding and stuff for me. And like I say, it was a little bit different for me because I was using my US credentials. I wasn't using my Bahamian credentials. So I didn't have to look for no green card, all those different type of things. So when I left for the $1,000. I left with a one-way ticket to Atlanta. And was it the most like best thing to do? Absolutely not. Because bro, when I reached Atlanta, it was winter time. So if you could imagine the shock of being in a tropical climate every year, and as soon as you reach down, you get hit with 40, 50 degree wind at the airport. I'm like, I double layered it. I had like a long sleeve and a long sleeve, and I had on like jeans. I said, it's cold, bro. Like, it's cold. Before I left, I had a busted laptop, bro. What I mean, like a busted laptop. I had a Mac, but the Mac screen wasn't working. And the keys actually wasn't working. I remember the story specifically because I got this Mac from T-Mac, McConan. He ended up his laptop ended up dropping in water. He put it on like a heater or something when he was on the cruise ship to try and dry it out. And he was selling it because he bought another one. And I was like, but I just need a laptop at the time because I was then getting into trading, then trying to learn what I need to learn. So I got that. And when I went to Atlanta, the $1,000 that I had, I ended up spending $600 of it day one because I needed a new laptop. I needed a laptop to work. Like, I couldn't just like connect my laptop to these people's desktop, whatever, etc. I can't do nothing. So I was already down to $400. Like I say, it was definitely a big learning curve eventually, especially facing the Four Seasons. And Atlanta, Georgia, is very far out. So now, even me trying to get around, Ubers and all those different type of things, what are you talking about? $50, $60 just to get to one way, $50, $60, not even round trip. So yeah, I know.
Trust me, like I can tell you, like, half my family live in Atlanta. I remember one time I went to visit. I had on a jacket, and I was sweating in Nassau. When I hit Atlanta, the first stop we make is like, I gotta go Walmart buy another jacket because the weather was like so different. But I know how that is. Trust me, that's a big leap of faith. That's a big leap of faith.
The weather and climate change was a drastic different, bro. I'm talking about when winters really piked up around, I would say December, January, and I got into my townhouse. Like, bro, I went to Walmart. I had to buy like the plastics to put on the wall. I had to buy heaters, and I had the stove on just to keep inside there warm. And I had the heater on inside there also to try to keep inside there warm. I still was shivering.
Trust me, you're crazy over there.
I remember when you first made that move, you started like posting on Facebook. I can't remember if Stories was back then, but I remember you started posting on Facebook talking about, so I'm in America making this move. I think the number that you quoted was $400. I just was remembering like, okay, cool, man, go for it. I was genuinely happy. And I just remember like, hey, like dude said that he just say, I just bought myself a one-way ticket and I'm doing this and I'm going. So, cause it's like, it's different to hear you say it, right? But at the same time, knowing that I saw you posting on Facebook about it. I remember when you went and you actually posted your journey, and to actually see that, hey, you stuck with it and that you succeeded when you first did it. And I was just like, yo, this is absolutely amazing. This is freaking amazing, dog. You know?
That time, honestly and truthfully, if I had to go ahead and do it again, I wouldn't do Atlanta or Georgia, I'd probably do Florida. There was so many times that I actually wanted to move back home, or not even move home, but like visit home, because, you know, like I away from my grandparents, I away from my family. I don't know nobody there in Atlanta. I don't know nobody in Georgia. I don't know family in Georgia. The only people I had in Georgia was my family and our coworkers. And when I told my grandparents about it at the time, and I told my aunties them about it, and, you know, as a grown man, 23 and everything like that, they were skeptical. It was like, who is pay for your ticket, pay for your lodging, tell you can work for them, whatever, etc. And they were skeptical because it like I say, it sounded a little bit too good to be true. Like, I was like, you know what? I already meet them. I already had a Zoom call with them, and I already, you know, finesse my way into this. And realistically speaking, like, this is where I would tell anybody who will be watching this podcast, take a gamble on yourself, because realistically speaking, let me tell you exactly how I got this opportunity. I was inside of Grant Cardone 10X Facebook group. And at the time I was doing website and marketing and stuff like that. And I literally was just posting in there because I needed to make some money. I wasn't working, you know, COVID came around or whatever. And I literally was in there like, oh, who needs to have their website done? Who needs to have their website done? And I, you know, got a few hits. I had people in the UK, people in Australia, people in this place, people in that place. I showing them all the work that I do, my credentials, everything in the sauce like that. And meantime, I still was trading. And at the same time too, when I was trading at the time and also investing at the time, I was using my own capital. Like talking about $100 sale, $200 sale, $300 sale. Sometimes I'm making good money. Sometimes I actually blowing the whole entire account. But I didn't have a stable job where it's like, okay, yeah, I have money coming in the next day, or I have money coming in the next week. It wasn't no stable job. I guess it's like, you know, literally fighting to just, you know, make a way or no way. That person ended up having a Zoom call with me. They met me with that group, had a Zoom call with me, explaining them what I do. And it's like, hey, man, we actually need you, man. I could actually, like, you know, run all my businesses. You can stay in Atlanta. I have a place for you to stay, etc. and all that. And at first, honestly, I was skeptical about it too, because I was like, man, this just too easy, bro. Like, we just have one Zoom call. And it was like, yeah, we need you over here now. And I was like, okay, well, get me a ticket by tomorrow. I'll be there. It was like, no, we can get your ticket next week. And I'll be like, okay, cool, fine. Look, I look at it at the end of the day. I saw my ticket purchased. So I go to my grandparents and every day. I say, I taking my talents to Georgia, bro. Like, I come with it. What you mean? Like, going, like, you know? And I was super kind of scared because one of my aunties, she's very protective and everything like that. And my auntie was like, and I didn't know anything about Georgia. My auntie was like, oh, Georgia is like one of the most highest place for trafficking, X, Y, and Z, etc. So I dead scared now, like, okay, hold up, let me traffic me out or whatever, take my organs or whatever, do this or whatever and all that. So I super scared, bro. Like, because I remember I coming from Bahamas, bro. I don't know anything
Yeah,
about the
you don't know
States.
nothing.
I don't know nothing. I don't know what's going on. This may be a ploy where it's like, man, this a
It's the
nice
perfect setup.
young, not some strong dude or whatever. Maybe we get a couple of dollars off of him or whatever the situation. So I hear like, wait, dog, I don't know. Like, I don't know. So I guess, went with a leap of faith. And honestly, I did actually told my boss at the time that, because like me and her got really, really close. In a sense, quote unquote, she said like she adopted me. I'll call her mom. She'll
That's
call
your
me
mom.
whatever.
That was your
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the one way you to actually post up as my adopted mother, whatever, and all that. But like literally, I told her, I say, but when I first came here, but I was so skeptical of y'all, but I thought y'all was gonna traffic me. I thought y'all was gonna do this, I do that. I didn't know anything about y'all, whatever, etc. And literally, literally, that's what it was. But it is what it is.
That's the height. I started with $1 and a dream.
Yeah,
But that's
make it work.
I feel as if like if you're not willing to take a risk on yourself, like a risk, whereas like it sounds so impossible, it sounds like it's so undoable, it sounds like, but this just don't even make any sense. I feel as if like everybody shun away from it. Like for me, I am a high risk guy. Like I wouldn't actually go broke for a particular idea or dream or something that I want, because I know if it comes to fruition, that's it. That's gonna be a whole new thing. And a lot of people don't really have that resilience or have that nerve or that resolve in themselves. Like the minute they fail once, they ready to go back to whatever they was doing. So, and I'm like, that's what's gonna keep you in that cycle or that loop that you trying to break away from. Because for me, I expect failure. For me, I expect low points. For me, I expect like, bro, we just went through this messed up. But I don't accept, oh, I stop or I quit or, this ain't gonna work out.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Yeah, so that's a lot of your backstory, right?
Yeah, a lot of my back. Sorry.
No. It gives a lot of context, and this is what the people want to see. They want to hear the stories. People like people. They want to hear the story, and a lot of times people only see like the finished product, but they don't know what went into that. Like in business, where they say they don't know about the raw materials.
Yeah.
The work in progress, none of that. They just see the finished product. But like with trading, right? I know that's your thing. How did you first get into that? Like, what was your first, either what piqued your interest or like what you saw and it's like, you saw it and you thought to yourself, like, I could do this. I'm going to try this. And you was like, all right, I can make a career out of this.
So in regards to that, a little bit of backstory. I knew about trading maybe when I was 16, 17. At this point in time, I was actually in like this email dialogue, that a thing, where this guy was like talking about stocks and stuff. I'm on YouTube also just watching these videos and stuff, because growing up as a teenager, even up to my early 20s, I was looking for any and everything that could help me make money, where I don't really have to actually go into a physical place. Even though I was still working and stuff, I was on YouTube learning graphic design, learning web development, also learning about stocks, how to buy these different type of things, etc. The only difference when you had stocks back in my time was I didn't have the resources to actually purchase stocks or to actually do these different type of things. And most of the stuff that I was looking at on YouTube, they were US people saying that, use this platform, use that platform. And at the time, I didn't have my US credentials at the moment. So I kind of like shook it off until I was around 22, 23. That's when I started hearing about Forex trading. At the time, I think I Am Academy actually infiltrated the Bahamas, and everybody was talking about trading at that time. Everybody was talking about, oh, they want to do this, they want to do that, whatever, etc. And I had a few people actually hitting me up, asking me, hey, do you want to learn how to trade? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I, spoke to a few of them, and I told them like, yo, I just ain't really interested in recruiting people, but I ain't trying to find nobody. I ain't trying to do this. I ain't trying to do that. This guy, he was one of my very first mentors, very first people that brought me in. He was also part of I Am Academy. He's also Bohemian, actually in Cambridge. He was doing very well for himself in his early 20s. Because he's like either a little bit younger than me. He's like either 20 or 21. Dude was, living in the States. Dude was actually having his cars and everything. He's posting his trades and stuff and all that. And I reached out to him, I spoke to him and everything like that. And he was like, he was the first person to actually tell me like, yo, you don't need to recruit anybody. Like you can just learn the skill set by yourself. Like just pay this bread, pay the money they got to pay, whatever, go from there. And from there, I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it. So I was a little bit hesitant for like maybe, I don't know, a month or 2 months before I actually joined with Ashton. I kept on saw what he was doing and everything like that. And I finally got the money and everything. And I feel as at that point in time, I already had all of my US credentials at that point in time. So I got a stimulus check when COVID came around. So I was like, you know what, I could take this stimmy. I can go ahead and do what I have to go ahead and do. So I bought the thing for like $150. I put like $100 on the account. Ashton helped me set up my broker account and everything like that. And then he had me in this Telegram group with everybody. I think it was Cream Team at the time. And they sent us out a signal like, you know, hey, USD chef or something like that. Enter here, stop us here. I didn't know anything. Like, you know, I didn't know anything day one. I showed Ashton that. He was like, oh, this is how you do it. Like, he was on a call with me. This is how you do this, whatever. So I put it in. I went to bed. I wake up. I see all the trades going on. I checked the history and I saw that I made like $13. And I showed it to him and he's like, I was like, but this right? He's like, yeah, but like, you know, that $13 is yours. And at the time, the broker that I had, I could also take that money off and put it back to my Cash App because he walked me through everything on how to do it. So when I realized that, but I made $13 in my sleep and that $13 was mine, I was hooked ever since, bro. I was like, okay, that's it. Like, you don't even got to tell me anything else no more. I just got deep dive into trading. We were on lockdown. So majority of the things that I was doing was pretty much wake up, learning how to trade, putting trades in, going to bed. Wake up, learning how to trade, putting trades in, going to bed. Because it was nothing else to do. Wasn't nothing else to do during lockdown or whatever, etc. And that's it.
Yeah. So what I can do, because Bahamians don't trade, we gamble, right? We play numbers. I can play 13 today, right? I can box that.
Box 130013, but box is fine. Put it on the Miami house. And let me know if you hit it. Miami or Atlanta. Miami or Atlanta. Yeah, Georgia. If that hit, boy, I guess my little 5%.
That's actually interesting because when you could see you could make money without working. I mean, you did put in the trade, but I mean, like, you didn't have to like log on, you didn't have to lift stuff, you didn't have the physical labor and all that. You just basically saw something, you place an order in at a certain amount, and you was able to make money. And like you say, in your sleep, that's what another thing that people are interested. They want to know how to make money in their sleep.
So I would say this, right? When it came to that, if I had to do it all over again, I definitely would have probably demoed more because, like I said, everything was completely live. I was in there with my bread. Now, I would say this. Going completely live helped me with the learning curve faster. You know, made money, lost money. And during COVID time, I think during COVID time was one of my best times ever because, like, realistically speaking, I was probably one of the very few that actually still, you know, made it, right? What I mean by that, prior to COVID, I was actually working at YSL and Versace over Atlantis. I was a salesperson there. So I was making some good money and everything like that. A couple grand every like 2 weeks or so, like maybe $1,700, whatever like that. Because based on like how many things you sell, it goes on the like paycheck also. So like I was cool and everything like that. And I still was kind of like dabbling into trading at that time. But after the lockdown, that's when I really, really, really locked in and I had the NIB contributions and everything like that too. So I think Mr. Shipper was open at the time. I used to work there before working to Versace and YSL. So they needed extra help. They made me an essential worker. So I had my little letter. So like me now, you know, I talking about I was making bread and trading out any type of time throughout the night, wherever you had this little hidden spot where you could party and everything, you had this, whatever.
Yeah.
I have my letter, like, you know, you have the roadblocks or whatever, but it's like, but I just came from one of the offices. We had to go ahead and do some work there, whatever. So here's my letter and they let me go through whatever. So like I was staying in hotels and stuff like that too. And people was like really trying to figure out like, yo, how are you doing what you're doing during the lockdown? And I was like telling them like, yo, I trade, like I do this, I do that. And I think that was my area where the recruitment came in because I never really approached anybody and be like, oh, you have to actually learn how to trade. People just saw on my Facebook, they saw, oh, this dude making 1,000, this, he making 1,000, that, he going this place, he going that place. I mean, even through lockdown, I went ahead and I traveled all the way down to, I think it was either Alabama or somewhere for like 2 weeks. And people saw all of that too. Miami and Alabama, actually. And I was shopping and all those different type of stuff. And people were like, yo, how are you doing this? And it's like, I guess trading. I guess, enjoying the life from that. And that's how that, came about.
So one of the things I feel that a lot of people in the Bahamas and especially inside the Caribbean feel is that with our whole like economic situations, people feel as if there are very limited ways of making money. And people feel because of their whole situations that things can't really get better. What I want to know is, number one, I want you to clarify for our audience, right? Is trading available for Caribbean people, and how can Caribbean people get into trading?
Yeah, trading is available for Caribbean people. You have multiple brokers. You have HFM markets, you have IC markets, you have Plexi Trade. You have like a few brokers that you can actually go ahead and trade with. Now, the thing is that you have some brokers where your card would not be accepted due to the central bank, because I would say this, the central bank themselves, they know about trading. They know about Forex trading, they know about cryptocurrency. It's all there. Like they know about it, they are aware of it. However, to them, they still mark trading as a form of money laundering because they can't see where the source of funds is coming from. They can't see how you're making the money and everything, the source like that. So they would be more suspected of, hey, this is money laundering. So sometimes they will block it. But of course, when you have all of your records, all of your, documentations and stuff like that, it's not no major issue. And I would say this to everybody. You have to be making an insane amount of money before the central bank even flag you. So it's saying like, oh, they, you get a little $100 deposit here, $200 deposit here, whatever, etc. And they, raise an issue. It's like, no, we're talking about every single week you get about 15, 20,000, 30,000, whatever, etc. And like you're going from, okay, hey, his bank account was barely hitting $1,000 a month. How is he getting 20,000, 15,000, 5,000, everything like that a week? Like, bro, what's going on? Something ain't making sense here. And all they seeing is
25,000.
Listen to me,
This
bro.
month?
Listen to me. I'll tell you the story right now. I had a mentee, right, who I was teaching about maybe 3-4 years ago. Young guy, 19, 20. He was a mechanic. He was also making some good coin. At that point in time, I had a sports betting handicap business with one of my old partners. It was called Sweet Bet Sports, where we was actually giving people handicap picks and stuff. So he hit big on a play where he actually literally betted $2. It was like a bunch of underdogs that he had bet, and he got like about $8,000 from that $2 bet. And it's like he had like open slots. So like in a show when you could have actually added like more people to the slot or whatever. So he had like open slots, and eventually it came up to $8,000. So I took him under my wing to teach him trading. My co-partner still taught him some more sports betting. So when I was teaching him trading now, this dude had like maybe like, I don't know, $3-4 in an account. And he was making bank. I talk about bank. So every time he would withdraw in Scotia, it go into his account, go into his account. So one day he gone to Scotia to go ahead and try and get some money off or whatever and all that. And Scotia was like not giving him his funds. And eventually he messaged me, right? And he told me like, wait, yo, I have Scotia right now. They called the police on me, bro. And I was like, what you talking about?
What you calling me for?
He's like, buddy, like the police? Yeah. I was like, well, what happened? So he was like, wait, I be making so much withdrawals on my account. They thinking I doing some form of money laundering, bro. Like that's just, because of how much money I get. Open up my broker account, show them the withdrawals, show them the documentation, show them how I doing this, show them how I doing that, and everything like that. And I told him like, bro, you actually your first rich person problem. You're making so much money that they had to call the police on you to figure out exactly where your money coming from. And I was like, wait, that's the type of problem that I want to see for everybody. Whereas like, wait, you making so much money in a legal way, not even an illegal way, in a legal way where they have to actually call the police to verify your source of funds. Because now they don't know exactly what's going on. They ain't sure what's going on. And I'm telling you, this is a true story. Bro. If I could get this dude on the phone right now and I'd have him explain the story to you, he can explain the story to you. I say, but dog, this absolutely amazing, right? So I say, but this is the type of things I want. This is the type of things I want to hear about. But like literally getting into trading, there's so many different ways. I feel as if a lot of people talk about how they don't have this amount of money and stuff like that. And I'll say this, you can learn for free on YouTube. YouTube University is there. The only thing wrong with YouTube University is you don't have nobody to actually get feedback from. So you still kind of like figuring it out on your own. All right. You could also go ahead and actually join many communities. There's a plethora of communities that you can actually find. Some that charge you a monthly fee, some that charge you a yearly fee, some that charge you a one-time fee, and you can go ahead and join those. You can even go ahead and find a mentor where you can say, hey, I want to pay this person for mentorship. They're going to teach me one-on-one and stuff like that, etc. And for me personally, I would say community and mentorship, I prefer going down that route because you get some form of feedback. Because YouTube, you could definitely go down that road too, but if you're building up a lot of bad habits and you don't know no better. So when it's time for you to actually when you say, okay, I want to take this up another notch, you have to now sometimes unlearn everything that you learn because it's like, yo, I didn't know any better. I guess I was trying to get my feet wet or whatever and stuff like that. Even like for me, when I when I was in Atlanta and I was getting mentored by my mentor, Q Banks, I had to call him a favor because he had this mentorship and I really wanted to get into his mentorship and stuff like that. And I had to spend some coin. I didn't have the money at the time. I think it was like $12.50. I spent that. I borrowed it from somebody to actually get into it. Then after that, I was making my money. I repaid the person back. And then after that, I wanted to get one-on-one mentorship with him. That one-on-one mentorship cost me 25 grand. I was like, okay, cool. Work on that, paid that. And then literally, I think that was about 2 or 3 years ago. After I did that, that's when I turned my 1,000 into 100,000. And that's when like everybody was like, oh, bro, this is what you did or whatever, etc. and all that. And I was like, yeah, but this is where it comes from. Guidance comes from, being active, comes from talking, going back and forth. And I feel as if you want to really get into this, make sure that you're going down a proper path or a scalable path. Don't just stop at YouTube University. So find somebody that you're able to gravitate towards and actually start asking a lot of questions, not just, oh, I come to this person and you expect to be spoon fed. It doesn't work that way. And I think that doesn't work that way in no form of life because even as a construction worker or a skilled worker, if you want an apprenticeship, you ain't just there like, oh, tell me how to do this or tell me how to do that. They just tell you watch and then they just tell you ask. If you just watching and you want asking and you don't doing anything, they're not really obligated to tell you what it is that you're doing. Now, if they're around you and they see you doing some BS, they'll be like, hey, you got to fix this or you got to fix that. But they're not obligated to be like, oh, yeah, today I need to show you how to lay a block. Like, no, bro, you could watch me lay this block. If you don't understand it, ask me a question and I can answer that question for you.
But tapping back into that, now, one of the things you talked about was mentorship and community. And I very much support that because definitely a mentor saves you a crap load of time and actually directs you in the direction that you need to be going. They could actually spot your mistakes and they could actually help you with your personalized mistakes because everybody has different mistakes that they're doing, different ways that they go about things. And a mentor's job is to actually show them. Additionally, you also talked about community, where you actually have people who could give you feedback and you could actually see other people who are doing things just like you. And basically, iron sharpens iron. Now, we both know about a community that you run, BFX Society. I am also one of the members of BFX Society. So could you just tell us a bit more about your community and what is it that it offers?
So BFX Society is the fastest growing platform for wealth builders. It's the only social media platform right now that I know about that is geared towards making people money, becoming wealthy. Point blank, period, what it is. I felt as, growing up and then also coming into the space, this is something that I wish that I had when I started off, where, I have a dedicated community, a dedicated space where I could post whatever and all that. I feel as if like everybody got so used to Facebook and so used to like just spreading out junk or whatever and all that. But if you actually utilize Facebook like almost like a LinkedIn type of thing, I think a lot of people would have been very well off and wealthy, going aside certain groups, finding certain things, connecting with certain people and being very strategic. So I've made a platform, and this particular platform that I've made This is not like some form of template, some form of, no, this is completely by my technology company, by my developers that I spent to actually make a custom full experience for everybody to be a part of, for everybody to go ahead and learn. And of course, you have your free area where you could go ahead and do all of this. You could add people, message people, watch master classes. So right now, we're also implementing a podcasting feature. It says a few different things, but I just felt as if like something like this would be definitely instrumental, not only for trading, but for other ventures too. And this is more geared towards the Caribbean and Latin America, because those are, those third world countries where people are, struggling and trying to find another way of making money. And this is geared towards showing people the unconventional ways of making money. So, for instance, trading is just one. That's where I specialize in. I may probably get one of my boys who do Airbnb arbitrage in the Caribbean, showing them how to actually do Airbnb arbitrage. I may probably talk about, okay, hey, this is how you do wholesaling or how to actually do e-commerce. I may talk about, hey, this is how you actually get into options or cryptocurrency. Like, have the CryptoNoobz guys come out and do cryptocurrency and teach them the basics of crypto. So I feel as if like it's gonna be a great amount of wealth of knowledge. Whereas like, hey, if you're not utilizing this platform to the utmost ability, then you don't really wanna change your circumstances. And that's just how I feel about it.
I definitely agree with that. So one of the things that I think with our situation here in the Caribbean, we want better opportunities and we see the limits, but the issue has always been trying to find ways to break those limits. And we realize that there are some Caribbean people that have done it, but yet we still find ourselves inside the limits. Like, what do you think is really going on?
I feel as if in regards to those limits, I think a lot of people, they kind of gatekeep in a way. What I mean by gatekeep in a way, right? I may have broken a limit for myself, but I'm not leaving a door open for other people to actually come behind me. Or I'm not leaving a public knowledge door open for people to actually come behind me. So like, for example, right? Sabas in the Bahamas, he's one of the most richest men here. Hasn't disclosed his network or anything in the source like that. However, he has also not really opened a public door to how he was able to amass the wealth that he is. Because think about it this way. If you had someone who actually is like, hey, this is what I did, X, Y, Z, etc. I left this door open for you. I left this door open for you. I left this door open for you. And if you're willing to go down that road, it's there. You'll probably have a few more Sabases in the Bahamas. Remember, Sabas didn't come from money. He came from pretty much almost the same type of background that I came from. Not like, a bunch of money and everything like that. Smart, intelligent kid who saw his talents, who took a risk on himself, and he actually went ahead and continued to drive up. I think one of my main purposes right now for myself is I would like to leave a door open for everybody who actually would like to go down the path that I went down, or even, see a different way. Even if you get to try it out, the door is there. So I feel as if like those limits just come from community, or come from like, hey, this is an avenue that you need to go ahead and take. Now, people are hard at it. They may not want to go ahead and take the avenue, but at the end of the day, at least it's there.
Lamont, what is so interesting is we just keep on coming back to the same problem. Like, we actually have had this on a few of our previous episodes, where as we continue to talk to more people in the Caribbean and we try to find out what is the most common problem as to what's stopping Caribbean people from wealth, it always goes right back down to there's gatekeeping. We have a gatekeeping culture. We have a culture where we don't like to keep the door open, or when I've found my way of wealth, I want to keep it to myself because I don't want the other people to catch up.
Yeah, I think that's a thing. That's definitely a thing in our society. And I think a part of it is just I don't like to say like ignorance, but a lot of people just don't know these things. We live in a time now where everything is online.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned earlier, how growing up, a lot of people had the mentality of you have to go to the US to make it in certain fields, right? Now we in a situation where everything is online, Now there's still barriers to entry, like you mentioned, like the banking situation, stuff like that, like accessing funds and getting paid on certain platforms is much easier, like in the US compared to like Caribbean nations. But I think we're doing better as far as like learning how that there are options out there. when you shut off the door to people like, let's say like investing, right? A lot of Bahamians, they don't have access or know exactly how to access US stock markets, right? That's why you see a lot of Bahamians start getting interested in crypto and other things, because that provided an opportunity that wasn't available to them. Sometimes when you close the door on somebody, they might come through the window. That's just how it is. If what's announced they really want it, they might climb through the window or go through the back door.
I'll go through the roof.
And you see what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how I think it is. So like with the gatekeeping situation, there is like where you have some people who do position themselves or get like a certain level of success, and they may not give as much opportunities to the people coming up. Yeah. So that does happen in our country. That is definitely a thing.
So I'll say this to you guys too, right? I'm currently 29, but one of my sole purposes before 45, I want to give access to the people. I want to give access to multiple to everybody who wants to have it, right? For instance, Lambo is correct. Ignorance is a thing. When I got into cryptocurrency and everything in the sorts like that, I was just, buying cryptocurrency and everything in the sorts, and I was having struggles as a Bahamian person buying crypto. As an American guy, no, I can buy crypto easy, etc. Like, for instance, now when I had to buy cryptocurrency while I was here using one of my Bahamian cards, I had to go through so many hoops. And then also the provider that I had to use charged me a very hefty fee. I talking about, okay, I wanted to get $1,000 in terms of crypto. By the time that transaction was done, I got like 877 or 8 something. It's like a very hefty fee, right? And I was like, yo, this is the most I've ever got in terms of a deduction from my cryptocurrency when I wanted to get it. Like if I go to Cash App, Robinhood or whatever, so maybe $10, maybe $9 to actually get my crypto. And I went ahead and I was like really reading the DARES Act, because a lot of people who actually want to get into cryptocurrency and stuff, they don't even take the time out to really learn our laws, learn our cryptocurrency laws, learn what all we can actually go ahead and do. And I was very surprised to actually see how much it is to actually open up a cryptocurrency brokerage, how much it is to actually do OTC, how much it is to actually do this, how much it is to actually do that. And I was like, yo, we ain't even talking 5 figures. These things only 4 figures to do. Like literally 4 figures to actually go ahead and do, make, put together, etc. and all that. And I'm like, bro, no way we have our prices so low. And our regulatory system is one of the most rigid regulatory systems in the Caribbean. So if you actually was able to actually get bypass here in terms of cryptocurrency, you could pretty much go anywhere and open up an office because you already passed the Bahamas. And this is why I've actually noticed a whole uptick in terms of cryptocurrency brokerages, CFD brokerages, and also stock brokerages. Because if you're able to actually get to the regulatory firm here, you can go anywhere in the Caribbean. Anywhere in the Caribbean, because it's like, yo, the Bahamas, dig you up? Yeah, man. And I think a lot of people are not really paying attention to that. And that's why, like, for instance, one of my things that I want to do is I will be, making plans on what is a work in progress right now, where we could do OTC cryptocurrency, where you could actually buy your cryptos and stuff. You don't have to pay no heavy fees, anything and stuff like that. You could, send money to everybody, send cryptocurrency to everybody. I feel as if once people are more able to have access to that as a Caribbean nation, I think they're more willing to actually learn more about it. I feel as if a lot of people say, okay, this is too much work, even after they learn about it, too much work to actually go through all these hoops. So they kind of also throw it away too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you look at like how our regulatory environment works, like people have this thing where they say like, all right, the Bahamas is backwards, right? We take long to catch up. Realistically, if you look at our regulatory climate, they usually set the trend that other countries follow. Like CBDC is, you get the sound all of the DARE Act. So it's like, we really kind of like are more so the trendsetters, but it's a lot of times when you're dealing with like new industries and stuff like that, you're playing a reactive role.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I understand what you mean with that. Definitely if you get licensed in the Bahamas, compared to most other countries, especially in the Caribbean, let's talking about like Trinidad, where they just completely ban crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of people don't understand the laws and stuff, they don't understand.
But the crazy part about it is that we have foreigners who actually have dedicated roads and their brokerages and firms who actually look for all of these laws of different countries so that they could go ahead and place itself. Like, for instance, I met the CEO of Trade Nation. Trade Nation is, I think, one of the largest brokerages in the world. I'm not talking about in the world. And I met them. I read a bomb on Sandy Port. They have an office over there, whatever, etc. Sat down with him and everything. Literally, I was drinking coffee. And, I overheard him, introduced myself, and we talked. When I looked at, why they made an office here or why they do this here and all that, foreigners or most guys, they see the value in it. They see the value of, okay, this is why we need to have it. This is why we need to make this. This is why we need to make that. And literally, for them, it's only about 4 figures for them to actually to have per year to keep up. Whereas certain other countries, they charge them about 5 plus taxes, plus this to actually keep operating. And it's like, I don't think a lot of people as Bahamians who even come in this space. So like I say, I've seen where we have a lot of people now getting into the trading, investing climate and everything like that. And then you have some that actually say, hey, they're making this amount of money, they're making that amount of money, they're doing this, they're doing that. And one thing that, me and one of my colleagues actually were talking about is like, I don't want this culture to be to a point where everybody is trading, but it's almost like a fake success type of thing than an actual success. And I'm seeing like all the ads now where these guys are saying that they got this, they got that, they did this, they got that. But I'm not seeing anything tangible. I'm not seeing anything realistic. And Bahamians, they see a little bit numbers, they see this, they see that. They quick to hop on. But now when they really get into it, it's like, this is not what you kind of advertise to me, and you also a Bahamian. And now I don't feel as if this is something that I really want to go ahead and do because this is not what you projected to me. And I don't want that type of culture to actually come in because we have a lot of criticism to trading and investing already. And it's like, okay, the lack of knowledge and people, now trying to get into it, they're curious, but it's like, okay, hey, I really think I want to do this. I really think I want to do that. So, and I definitely feel as if you're going to go down that culture route, do it correctly, do it right, do it properly where it's like, hey, guys really inspired. Guys really, so like for me, I could go ahead right now and say, the next 10, 15 cars, 30 cars, whatever, I go on the Rubis gas station, I put in $20 gas in your car. I can do that. I can be able, at least I give him mark or whatever and all that, but it's like, okay, trading has put me in that predicament to go ahead and do so. For instance, I know now, so you watch my stories and stuff, like, me and my fiance, I bought like a few things for the house, whatever. My fridge, guess my fridge alone, like, it's a substantial amount of money. But at the end of the day, like, when you doing these things and you're having these results, I feel as if people need to see more of the tangible aspect, not just the number aspect. Show the tangible aspect to actually show people that it's really doable.
I love that. Let me tell you why I love that, right? And I will be the first to say it, right? First and foremost, I love traders, mind you. I love traders because just like you, right? I know a few traders, so we know some of the same people. And I love the fact that I see especially Bahamian and Caribbean people who are making it off of trading, right? But the thing that I hate about trading culture the most is when there is that particular lifestyle that is projected and it's like, hey, people, like, I want to see the real down home thing. I want to see, hey, you actually went out there, you actually did a few things for people, you actually gave back to the community or what's not. Like, for example, earlier we would have spoken about like basketball players and the rappers and things like that. Let's use Buddy Hield, for example. Buddy Hield was a basketball player. After that, he came back to the Bahamas, and I think about every year he has like a basketball club type of situation or what's not, right? And maybe you could start this, like, where is the trading summer school for Bahamian youth? Like, where is the whole thing where I'm seeing the trader coming back and saying, hey guys, this is what I want to do for you guys to show you, like, this is the tangible thing, for lack of a better word, that shows that this is real. And I feel like there's a whole flashy lifestyle. It's like, cool, yeah, it's Lamborghini, dope. The watch, excellent. not knocking any of that. But it's like, what about the people? Let me see the people aspect. Let me see you at home. Let me see you with your family, you know?
Yeah.
I want to see, hey, you are a down to earth person, not the super hyped up version that shows.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And I'll say this, like, truthfully, right? Because I've been, racking my brain and thinking about it for the longest and stuff like that. And this is like why I said I pretty much want BFX Society to be free. Whereas like I necessarily don't really need to make, money from BFX Society. Even like when I looked at, YC, YC Combinator and all those different type of things where you have those venture capital groups and stuff like that. Even Facebook. Facebook was never really a paid service. Facebook was actually a digital real estate platform. That's what it was. Whereas a lot of people saw a lot of users and they went to different businesses and said, hey, do you want to have your stuff on there? Do you want to have your stuff on there? Do you want to have your stuff on there? Because they have all of the eyes. The exact same concept BFX Society should be, where get everybody on there, make it free. We have different areas. Like right now, even with BFX Society, with the live streaming feature that I'm implementing for educators and traders and other people to do certain, who have really perfected their craft, they can go ahead and do so. But even in our events column, we're going to be now hosting events. Either it's workshops, physical meetups, lifestyle. Because I feel as if like everybody who's trying to make money online, they all are infatuated by the lifestyle marketing that people are being portrayed. That's just facts about it. And I feel as if like, even though people are saying, oh yeah, I have my Lamborghini, I have this, I have that, I got it from trading, buy my course, whatever, if you want to go ahead and learn and all those different type of things. All the people who are actually like doing that, who are feeding into that, they saying, well, I want to be in the Lamborghini. Oh, I want to party. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do that. And I feel as if one of the like untouched pieces is they never really give that to the people. It's like, okay, you got to figure it out and then eventually you have to go ahead and do so. For me, okay, I may want to go down to 78 West, which is a club or whatever and all that. I may be like, hey, give me about 10 to 20 bottles or whatever, etc. I'm make this event. I'm gonna just tell people like, yo, pay you a little 10, 15, $20 or whatever. Come party with us in our section or whatever like that. It's still doable and achievable, and they still get to feel that lifestyle experience while they're going ahead and learning how to do this, learning how to do that. And I feel as if like if you learn how to actually work as a community or work as a group, it would actually definitely come into something where it's like, hey, maybe, okay, because of Jace actually got this partnership with Kasuya in Bahamas, right? Okay, you're a BFX Society member or so. At Kasuya right now, you get $25 off on your order once you already spent over $150 or whatever, etc. So, come through this time or whatever. What does that do? Number one, well, that actually works better for the society member because they feel that they're getting somewhere with in life. And then also number two, that's also bringing an uptick to Kasuya, saying, hey, this is who you have, this is who's coming in, etc., stuff like that. So, of course, trading camps and doing things for the youth, I definitely feel as if this should be teaching school, investing and everything and stuff like that. It should be taught in schools.
This should have been taught from high school.
Yeah, but you have like, some schools and stuff that don't actually really believe in it. And for me personally, when I was growing up, this is how, I ended up on High Five, MySpace, Facebook, when I ain't even supposed to be on none of these things as I was an underage kid. But you have some kids who are actually really interested in stuff like this. Okay, cool. Of course, BFX Society doesn't have, I would say, anything that is quote unquote like built to be 18 years or older, but I will probably have it in our system with our developers. Whereas like, hey, you got to be at least 14 years or older with parental tingum in order for you to actually be on it. And then also even the brokers does not allow you to be anywhere underneath 18. So you still have to go to your parents and have your parents help you with this or help you with that, or open up an account for you with this, open an account with you with that. But at least it's a start and it's leading into that direction.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Now, Jayce, let me ask you this, right?
Yeah.
We talk a lot about like the positives and the success stories. Now, what are like some times where trading got really rough or some things that people might have saw or things you might have saw like other traders either fail at, and your insight on either way where they might have went wrong or things like that. Just like, you know, cons or mistakes to look out for if you
Oh yeah,
plan
of
to enter.
course, bro. So number one, I could talk to myself. I'll talk about myself, and I'll also talk about just a very recent thing that actually happened. One of my mentees. So I'll talk about my mentee first, and I'll talk about me. So one of my mentees, he just got interested into trading. He's 21, right? And I want you to understand this. He's 21. Bahamian. So literally, he messaged me literally like yesterday or the day before. And he was like, oh, you got to take a break from trading. Something went down. He didn't want to talk to me about it, whatever, and stuff like that. And he just got interested into it. The last time I met up with him was like about maybe 3 weeks ago, but we do texts and we do calls. But I set him up with his broker account. I set him up with a demo account. I also set him up. He put $100 on his account. He was like, you know, I guess testing it out, getting his feet wet, stuff like that. From there, up until now, he hit me up and he tell me, he lost over $4,000 in the span of 3 weeks. And I'm like, how? And he was like, man, he was revenge trading. He was doing this. He was doing that. He was doing, and I'm like, yo, how you went from $100 to demoing, be talking, but you went from there to losing $4,000. It just doesn't make any sense. And he was like, oh, he got, you know, he has a little business. He also works. So he's, you know, he's making a good amount of money. So he just went ahead and, you know, one thing led to another. He went down that slippery slope where he started revenge trading. And he's like, oh, he was kind of ashamed of telling me or kind of afraid of telling me because, you know, he feels as if like, you know, I'll look down on him or anything and all that. And I was like, no, I wouldn't look down on you, but I really wanted to understand, like, what is the rush? Like, what was it that you was really trying to go ahead and do? And I feel as if like a lot of people try to rush their way to success and rush their way where they ultimately fail harder and faster than anything of the sorts. And I had to, you know, pretty much like level his head down. I'm like, bro, what 21-year-old person that you know that is a Bahamian, right? Because like we went over his overall expenses in the last month. Like, you know, we talked about it. I would say this, aside from the $4K that he spent, he also spent another additional $6K on other stuff like family members, stuff like that, baby showers, X, Y, Z, etc. So like I said, overall in a month, he spent close to $10,000. And I had to ask him, like, bro, who was at 21 in the Bahamas spending $10,000 in 1 month? No one. Like, bro, that's not even heard of. So I'm like, okay, why are you trying to rush your way to make some money or whatever? And so like you could have literally taken your time. And I told him that, hey, you need to really understand the skill set first before you even try and make any money from it. I feel as if like a lot of people want to see that instant, oh, I need to make money right now, instant gratification, instant this, instant that. And I blame a little bit of social media, blame a little bit of, oh, they're comparing themselves to other people in regards to it. And I would say this, if you're trying to compare yourself to everybody else in this particular skill set, your heart is in the wrong place. You have to actually have love for this particular type of skill set. You have to actually sit down for hours and actually figure out what really makes this tick, what really makes this work, what really, you know, have this actually going ahead and working. Realistically speaking, a lot of people don't look at the long-term effect. That kid is 21. 14 years of taking your time, you will be 35. And you should already be well off in a predicament that you is right now, especially if you're spending $10,000 in a month. But it's like, yo, 14 years, slow and steady. And this is where I came with the analogy of the turtle and the rabbit. And, you know, what happened? The rabbit already knew that he could beat the turtle. Like, he already knew that. He already knew that, okay, but I faster than this turtle. I could beat this turtle. The rabbit was more focused on humiliating the turtle. He wasn't focused on going to the finish line. He was more focused on, you know what? I want to shame this turtle, bro. Like, I already know I could beat this turtle, whatever. And what did he do? He went ahead. He was already leaped way off, close to the finish line. Dude decided to take a nap. Because why? He ain't interested in passing. He ain't interested in doing whatever. All he want to do is, but I want you to understand that you can never see me in this life. And that's like how most Bahamians or people actually think. Whereas like, but I have something to prove. And I can prove this to you. However, I got to go ahead and prove it. Whereas the turtle wasn't concerned about whether the rabbit was far away, whether he's going to get beat or whatever. All that trader was concerned about is like, wait, I want to make it to the finish line. And he ain't even looking at the finish line. He looking down at his feet to make sure he ain't stepping on no pebbles. He ain't stepping on this. And he's saying, but eventually I can get to that finish line, but I just need to focus on my step one by one by one. He ain't worried about the rabbit no. He ain't look up and be like, oh, the rabbit's sleeping. Maybe I should take my time, or maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. No, just taking one step. But eventually he went and crossed the finish line. By the time the rabbit wake up, he saw the turtle already pretty much almost about to pass the line. And he's trying to rush because he's about to lose the race. And I feel as if as persons with this particular type of skill set, or even in life, yeah, you have a big goal that you want to achieve. Just focus on taking the small little steps. You're gonna get there, but just focus on the small little steps. Even if it don't feel or look significant, small little steps. Now, personally for me, I've experienced a lot of highs and lows. I went through a lot of money, made a lot of money, done a lot of things in terms of trading. But I will say this. One thing that I've actually love about trading, it teaches me about myself more than anything. The negatives, the hits, the losses. What did I do wrong? I ain't blaming nobody else. I ain't blaming the market. I ain't blaming this. What did I do wrong? How did I mess up? How did I, got where I'm at? And that's where the accountability comes in. Because, okay, I could make $12,000 this week. I could also lose $6,000 the next week. Or I could actually blow my whole entire account. And those different type of things have different circumstances. Like, for instance, we had a family announcement and stuff like that. Me and my fiance and everything like that. She disclosed some things with me. I needed to make some money to actually go ahead and deal with her. So I took $1,000, sat down, was very meticulous. Very okay. Gotta do this, gotta do that. Close out there, do that. I turned out $1,000 into about 12 pounds in 3 days. But I know what it is that I was doing. Whereas, like, for instance, now, let's just say, oh, I got this bill to pay, I got that to pay, I got to do this, I do that, and I move in a spirit of desperation, I may be looking at everything as an opportunity. And I ain't care about what's going on. I just trying to get some money in my pocket. And now I lost more money than I could have made because I wasn't really self-aware of what's really going on. So, like, these type of things where you actually grow up mentally and emotionally from this type of skill set. Because the more that you work on your psychological levels, the easier it's going to become, and the money is going to come there. And that's why I tell everybody, like, focus on the skill set. The money will come, regardless of the fact. I don't care how much money you burn or whatever and all that. Don't do it for the money aspect. Do it for the skill set aspect. Do it for, okay, I want to be the best trader, the best cryptocurrency analysis, the best doctor, the best this, the best that. You know what all the best have in common? They focus on perfecting their craft. They ain't focus on, oh, I need to try and sign this with this $1.5 million deal. Or I need to try and get this $20,000. I need to try and get this $500, whatever. No, all they did was focusing on that skill set, on how they can make themselves better. And eventually that paid off for them because someone saw the value in it. And that was it.
It makes sense.
It's
I like that. I
definitely a
like that
lot of-
mentality. I like that mentality because I think when you say you operate, like when people operate from a place of desperation, because I can tell you, I made some horrible financial decisions in that same spirit of desperation. That when you find yourself desperate, it's almost like you turn your blinders on the common sense. Yeah, so I really appreciate that. Trust me, I like that. I like that mindset to adopt.
And the thing is that I feel as if when you're starting to operate in terms of that desperate aspect or that area and everything like that, this is where either having a mentor or having a community or having someone actually comes in, because when you have somebody from the outside looking in, they give you a different perspective of what you're actually going through. Because at the end of the day, I remember something that one of my uncles told me when I was growing up. I have this house here that I live in, but the house that I got when I was growing up, like, I still had to pay mortgages and stuff on it and stuff like that. Like, I still had to deal with all those different type of things because it still was a mortgage all lien on the house. And I missed like 3 months of payments. And I was franticing, bro. Like, yo, they about to take my house. They about to do this. They about to do that. I don't know what to do. And I'm moving in a desperation aspect. Like, trying to figure out how I can make this money to pay this thing off, how I can do this, how I can do that. And I called my uncle. My uncle is very wealthy and everything and stuff like that. I was asking him for help and everything like that. And my uncle told me like he would get back to me or whatever. So, but my uncle also told me, he's like, Jace, Denzel, if you can't change nothing or can't change the circumstances today, it don't make no sense hurting your head about it because tomorrow the situation could still be there. Like, it don't make no sense trying to resolve a matter that cannot be resolved today. And when you wake up, the matter's still there. When you wake up the next day, the matter's still there. So you might as well just take your time and resolve it. Because I understand how pressing it is for you to get it resolved. But realistically speaking, when you wake up, it could still be there. So don't try and rush yourself to fix something, because it ain't like if you don't fix it, it can drastically change overnight. No, take your time with it, figure it out, whatever like that. Just breathe. And I feel as if everybody, when a situation happen to them or they actually get in a predicament or in a bind, they so quick to fix that all the rationality out the window. I mean, completely out the window. Like, there's so many different ways you could have fixed your situation, but because you so focused in the right now, you weren't even thinking about, hey, maybe I could get this fixed in a week. Maybe I could get this fixed in a month. Maybe I could get this fixed in a couple of days' time or whatever. But because it feel like it's right now that it needs to get resolved, you're doing everything in your power to get it resolved right now. And this is the thing, right? Well, the crazy part about it is people are so quick to fix a problem than they are quick to actually go down to success. Something go wrong, they need to fix that right now. We got to go ahead and do this investment. We got to go ahead and do this. We got to go ahead and make this happen. We got to go ahead and make that happen. They dragging their feet. They ain't really interested in that. They ain't really hearing about that. And I feel as if the same urgency that you have for fixing a problem should be the same urgency you should have to try and get to your version of success or your version of financial stability or your version of holding water until anything else. Because to me, how I look at it, if you have enough money, if you have enough corn, you can fix any one of your problems. Besides anything that's like, life or death. You can't bring somebody back from the dead. But man, you crash your car, whatever, etc., your car need to get fixed. But if you have enough money right now, you may say, you know what? Forget this guy buying a new car. You have this right here. Forget this. I gonna go buy this or whatever. So they're not so focused on, hey, let me diversify my income and let me get my income up where I can now walk and be like, okay, your problem hit me right now. I could breathe because I have some coin. I have some money. I could breathe. Like, man, I remember one time where, for instance, something happened to one of my to my vehicle or whatever and all that. I don't even care about the vehicle right now. It's gonna go Uber, man. I can deal with that when I come back. I'm gonna do this. I can deal with that when I come back. But like now, okay, I don't have no money. I don't have this. This is my only transportation. I need to get. Oh, how much it is to fix this? Oh, I gotta see if I can try and get this $300 real quickly to do this, to do that. Like, it's like, yo, just focus on making enough money. I feel as if once you get to a point where you actually okay, handle your problems afterwards. Handle your problems after that. And when you handle your problems, don't just spend all your money all at one place trying to deal with your problem. Bit by bit, knock it off bit by bit. You clean it, you solid, you could breathe, you could sit down without no anxiousness or whatever and all that. The bank say, oh, you about to foreclose on your home, okay? But you have like $100,000 or whatever, etc. Okay, how much is my payments or whatever? Okay, cool. I can put this little $5,000 on there, and I can just put this, whatever, etc. But at the same time, you foreclose on your home, and you don't got no dollars in your pocket right now. What you gonna be doing? You stressing out? My God, how I can find this money to just make sure that they don't take the house or whatever, etc. I think people are so focused on different things that they ain't really focusing on how to really hold themselves when hard times come.
Makes sense.
Jace, you gave us a lot of great gems, and you've told us about how it is in getting money, how it is that people could actually improve themselves, take accountability, not really focus so much on the things that they can't really control, but just focus on the things that they can control, right? What is one last message that you want the viewers to understand from this whole podcast, from everything that you've shared with us, from everything that you've given us? what is one main message that you want them to take away from this conversation?
Honestly, one main message I'll tell everybody is Rome wasn't built in a day. You coming from a kid who saw both sides of the world. And when I mean both sides of the world, I saw what it's like to be, in a sense, a little bit wealthy, then poor. And then, to a point where I want to say that I have all of the riches in the world, but I comfortable and I okay. And like literally don't let your current circumstances define what's going on in your life. If you're moving towards a better future or you have a particular future in mind, you need to now start operating and moving as if that future has already come to pass. Because your decisions that you make today affect your upcoming future. I mean, talking about just like, oh, the next week or the next month. I talk about the next 5 years, 10 years. I feel as if like people, they get so caught up with the right now that they've been living in the right now. They don't really live as if like, okay, the next 10, 20 years, I want to have 5, 10 companies. I want to have my board. I want to have this business. I want to have that business. And, that's the big grand scheme of things. But what are you doing today that's really going towards it? I think people get so caught up in that cycle where they go to work, they go party, they go sleep, they deal with whatever problems life give them, and that's it. It ain't like, okay, hey, I want to have 5 businesses. What am I working on today? Even if it's just like, oh, you just trying to figure out the business structure, the formation. Work on that. If you don't have the money, work on that until you have the money. I feel as if like a lot of people don't position themselves for when the opportunity comes. This is my mindset of life. And this is how I view life. I could be broke today. I could be broke tomorrow. But I letting you know right now, there's gonna be an opportunity coming back my way again. And it may be a financial opportunity, partnership opportunity, or whatever. And my thing is now is that am I in the position to take on that opportunity when it comes? If I say, okay, cool, you know what? In my lifetime, I may probably get 50,000 or 100,000 one shot. Am I really ready for that opportunity when it comes? Or do I have a certain plan intact for when that opportunity comes? Not like, oh, 100,000 fall in my lap and I don't know what to do with it. But am I operating or moving in the opportunity of, okay, hey, when that $100,000 come, this is what I need to go ahead and do. This is what I need to go ahead and do. This is what I need to go ahead and do. And people will call it manifestation. People will call this and that. But I'm telling you, like, life gives you unlimited opportunities. You just got to make sure that you are ready for it. And if you don't prepare yourself for it, it's going to keep on slipping through your fingers. And there's countless people who have multiple opportunities to change yourself, change their financial circumstances and everything, but they just simply wasn't ready. And it's okay not to be ready, but you shouldn't allow it to keep on happening again and again and again and again and again. Eventually, you're going to soon run out.
That's it. That's true. That's true. Well, everyone, definitely, we appreciate you, Jayce, for just coming on our podcast, just giving us a lot of insight into your world as well as like into the world of trading. How was it coming from the islands and then going to America, coming from humble beginnings to being like one of the big shots, working with traders, big name traders such as like Bankz and even like on par with those names, Where could people find you? Like, could you give us some of your social media handles where our audience could find you?
Jayce Bankz is TikTok, Instagram. You can definitely go ahead and find me there. What I definitely actually would love to do is before we go ahead and discontinue the call or discontinue the podcast here, I actually want to give people a nice preview of BFX Society so that they can go ahead and actually explore for themselves, understand it for themselves, and just have fun with it. Like it's completely free for you to go ahead and sign up and be a part of. And if you guys don't mind, I don't mind sharing it if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah, man, that's okay.
Okay, so you guys should be able to see my screen here. So this is BFX Society, the fastest growing platform for the next generation of wealth builders. As you see, you have like your full entire like social media platform, activity feed, you have your friends features, you have your groups that we actually have here also, events, and then also the masterclass. So our masterclass is more or less like close to Netflix centric type of thing. Now I'm still working on the masterclass features in terms of how it's designed and stuff like that. So it's still currently, getting done, getting built out and stuff. You have like, you're automatically playing for all of the videos. Even like over here, if the video is ending, you shifting over to the next video automatically. So you can even like have this on your TV just playing and automatically will play for you to go to the next videos and stuff like that. Eventually, I will be doing the live streaming. We soon have that coming up.
I like that.
So, beautiful. That's what's up.
Yeah, man. But I appreciate both of you guys. Nelson, I've known you for a long time. Lambo, I've known you for a long time. And thank you so much for actually having me as a guest on your podcast.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Appreciate
man.
you coming,
Thank
man.
you. So, once again, thank you all for coming to this week's episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast. We once again thanks Jayce Bankz for coming through and sharing his knowledge with us. And we'll see you next time. Okay? Peace.